They tried to cut the tree of their lineage like a pair of scissors. They wanted to bury their names, their stories, even their memories. But there was a secret they did not know. The seed buried in that root was the beginning of a new lineage that would reach for the sky. You, the chosen one, were born from the ashes of a silenced past. What you inherited was not a last name. It was a mission of ascension. If you look back today and see blank pages, do not be afraid, for that void is a clean slate for the epic that the divine pen will write with you. When they erased you, they thought they were erasing you from the map, but God, with his invisible ink, engraved you in the center of the map of destiny. Cutting the blood bond was their plan. Strengthening the soul bond is the sign of the heavenly plan. Now stand up and know, it is not your lineage, but your attempted degeneration that makes you special. You are the first link in the spiritual dynasty that is being established in place of the veins that were meant to be destroyed. Do not fear the emptiness of the past. It will be filled with sacred light, a path for others as you walk. For every name that has been erased has been withdrawn so that your name may resound louder. Now it is your turn. Write 999 in the comments now. Free that voice. Declare your destiny and be the beginning of a new lineage, a sacred legacy. Picture a seasoned rancher watching a thundercloud roll across open plains. Livestock scatter, barn doors rattle, and neighbors brace for hail. Yet he simply tips his hat, certain the storm will break exactly where his fences need fresh rain. In that same sure way, quiet composure was misread as surrender until the instant comprehension flashed across opposing eyes, and one curved corner of your mouth flipped the whole table. In a single breath, carefully stacked reputations toppled like tin cans at a county fair, their owners kneeling in disbelief, hands clasped in wordless pleas that the showdown end at one round. Observers still fumble for language. Some recall a sudden chill, like a walk-in freezer. Others describe the lighting darkening as if someone dimmed an unseen switch, while the more sensitive swear an invisible weight pressed their chests the way deep water compresses a diver's ribs. Whatever shifted in the room, one fact held steady. Certainty drained out of formerly confident faces the moment that grins surfaced. Shoulders slumped, sentences stalled, and the power they assumed permanent evaporated between heartbeats. That half-smile served as a telegram straight from eternity. Knowledge gaps close to night. Cosmic alignment gathered behind that expression, thinning the veil long enough for something older than memory to peer through borrowed eyesight. Instinct, not intellect, sounded the alarm. Ancestral cells identified predator and assigned them the role of quarry. What followed looked less like combat than a cardiac surgeon's incision. Months of study had revealed which arteries to pinch, which veins of influence to cut, which decorative columns were actually load-bearing. With unhurried precision, each hidden rivet came loose, and the grand facade surrendered under its own weight. Chaos never entered the equation. Every nudge accomplished three aims. Every phrase nested instructions for ears on differing frequencies. Contradictions they'd varnished for decades were paraded into daylight. Pacts drafted in secret chambers were read aloud at high noon, and unspoken rules were pinned to bulletin boards for the whole town to see. Countermeasures backfired, safety nets tore, and routines meant to deflect ordinary threats only enlarged the holes you'd already drilled. Their frantic repairs served you, not them, funneling fresh instability into fault lines you mapped long ago. And because legends require an audience, hand-picked onlookers bore witness. Not for applause, but to ensure no half-truth could soften the report once word spread downriver. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom, for you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Imagine a mighty oak once standing proud at the heart of the forest, its roots deep and branches wide, sheltering all beneath its shade. Now, see that same tree struck by relentless storms, its bark cracked, limbs broken, and leaves scattered by the wind, its once majestic form reduced to a hollowed relic, exposed to the unforgiving sun. So it is with those who thought their secrets safe in shadowed halls. The moment their downfall spilled into the light, what private shame could never secure was sealed by public truth. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Every retelling of their demise paints sharper lines in the tapestry of their legacy, not embellishment, but revelation. The circles of awareness widen beyond the original stage, rippling into spheres they never imagined would notice. Structures once deemed unassailable now sit abandoned, like old sanctuaries overtaken by creeping vines and dust, their grandeur a fading memory. Step carefully through the remnants of their kingdom. What once were polished halls of power now lie scattered like parchment torn by the wind. The channels of influence reduced to parched streams no longer flowing with the richness of favor. The psychological landscape, once a vast plain of assured control, now fractures like cracked earth beneath a merciless drought. The strengths they boasted reveal themselves as fragile supports, worn and ready to give way. What appeared as advantages curdle into burdens they cannot bear, and the very foundation of their rule, the reasoning and cunning that held their empire upright, now reads like simple arithmetic scrawled by an unsteady hand on the barn door of a forgotten farm. This transformation is not merely ruin. It is the unveiling of truth's unstoppable tide, washing away facades and leaving bare the bones of reality. For those who walk this aftermath, the sight is sobering yet sacred. The collapse that public reckoning delivers is the final chapter in a story written not by whispered lies, but by undeniable light. Now paranoia rides shotgun in every decision. Footsteps echo louder, shadows lengthen, harmless coincidences look like coded signals, and the overcorrection multiplies fresh openings you could exploit should a second visit ever interest you. Hasty coalitions form from yesterday's rivals, budgets balloon for defenses against tactics you would never recycle, and leadership suspects rank-and-file admiration tilting your way. Rituals sprout where ridicule once lived. Petitions rise to any unseen ear willing to postpone your return, and metaphysics becomes fashionable among the formerly material-minded. All the while, they misjudge motive, assuming you coveted their throne, when in truth, you came to vaporize the throne itself. They brace for hurricanes long past, ignoring tectonic rumblings beneath polished floors. Picture a church bell, hanging silent in an empty steeple at dawn, its tongue unmoved, yet the still air around it trembles as though the next toll will shake the very rafters. Chosen one, that hush on your part sends shockwaves through every hidden chamber of their schemes. When a misplaced dossier slips into someone's inbox, or an old confidant shows up bearing unexpected blessings, those moments echo louder than any blaring trumpet could. They listen for footsteps. They brace for thunder, though no storm cloud appears. Should a second chapter ever unfold, it won't mirror that first fierce encounter. You won't simply breach their gates, you'll redraw the entire map, planting new landmarks where their defenses once stood. Your arsenal lies beyond their familiar pages, and your true objectives transcend any barricades they've hurriedly erected. This isn't about cracking a door open, it's about writing a new language of engagement. When mastery rests in patience rather than haste, anticipation becomes the deepest cut, more precise than any strike delivered in anger. Remember this: the mightiest rivers don't announce their course. They carve valleys through the rock by choosing a path and unwaveringly following it. You stand upstream of their expectations, letting time bore channels of doubt into their confidence. Each silent moment builds pressure, forging a canyon in their resolve that no aftershock can fill. You are the living testament that authority does not need to shout. It simply holds still, and the world reshapes itself around that stillness. Keep your faith steady, your vision clear, and trust that the unseen currents you've set in motion already carry the power of your purpose. When the time comes to move, they will discover that the battlefield they prepared is no longer where the war is won. The true victory will be in the new reality you choose to create. Think of a seed, a tiny, ordinary-looking kernel dropped into dark soil. Nobody applauds when it disappears beneath the dirt, yet deep underground, pressure and patience work together, coaxing that seed to split, sprout, and stretch until it rises into daylight as a sturdy oak. In the same gentle way, God tucked you into seasons that felt like burial, but they were really planting. And when the soil split and the sunlight touched your face, what broke forth wasn't the frightened version of you that went in. It was the purified essence, the living core of purpose that trials can't drown and storms can't silence. Just like a goldsmith heating raw metal until every impurity rises to be scraped away, what remained in you after the fire was not mere survival. It was essence. You became the refined element, the unshakable core, the divine concentrate of everything the Almighty intended when He first breathed destiny into your lungs. That reservoir inside you is not fed by human pipelines. It was carved by holy flames, sealed by midnight rains, and now runs with a wisdom no thief can siphon and no critic can chart. They scan every horizon for your coordinates, but there's no satellite that locks on to a spirit-led signal. You navigate by a compass the world never issued, one that points to north, called purpose, and south, called promise. Understand this: your transformation turned heads in both natural and supernatural realms. Neighbors remember your quiet beginnings, but heaven kept an eye on what brimmed beneath the surface. When adversity hammered like hail, you didn't crack, you clarified. While others saw heat as destruction, God saw it as purification. The slag of doubt drifted away, leaving a faith forged solid, bright enough to throw sparks into every room you enter. Now you carry the kind of presence that makes seasoned experts put down their clipboards and watch in wonder. You don't need to flex credentials, you are the credential. Boardrooms feel it when you step in. Family gatherings shift as you speak peace. Even casual encounters at the grocery store echo with possibility because you carry a reservoir that bubbles wisdom in ordinary moments. And when you open your mouth, whether to bless a meal or broker a deal, the flow is different. It's velvet and steel all at once, soft with compassion, steady with authority. That's what refinement does. It makes every syllable count, every glance convey, every silence speak volumes. People will ask how you got here. Some will imagine shortcuts, others will assume secret endorsements. Yet the real story is simple and unglamorous. Patience under pressure, worship in the wilderness, obedience when no applause was offered. That is how seeds break open. That is how gold is tempered. Nothing quick, nothing flashy, just steady surrender. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. And here's the beautiful irony. While your root system deepened in obscurity, those who kept score by surface metrics missed the miracle. They were busy spotlighting bright moments, viral posts, loud headlines, storefront miracles, while heaven spotlighted quiet faithfulness, knees on the floor, tears in the pillow, scriptures whispered in the dark. You were never overlooked in the places that matter. Angels stood guard. Purpose took notes. The king himself was present, pruning what wouldn't bear fruit, watering what would, and smiling at the masterpiece yet to be revealed. So now, the unveiling has begun. Residues of old fear flake away like charred bark. You walk lighter, talk clearer, dream bolder. People sense fresh air swirling when you enter, like the curtain just lifted on spring after a ruthless winter. They wonder, what changed? The answer is, everything that needed to. The pressure cracked the shell, the fire burned the dross, and the rain sealed the gold. Yet remember, the spotlight is not the destination. It's simply the confirmation that the process worked. Seeds don't bloom to receive claps. They bloom to bear fruit. Gold isn't refined for museum display. It's crafted for purpose. Crowns, rings, vessels. In the same way, your refined essence isn't for ornamentation. It's for assignment. Somewhere, a shattered heart needs the comfort only you can deliver. Somewhere, a stalled dream needs the push only your testimony can supply. Somewhere, a hopeless room needs the light only your story can ignite. Expect resistance, not because you're weak, but because darkness dreads the glow. Yet resistance now serves as a platform rather than a prison. Pushback proves progress. Criticism confirms visibility. When darts fly, remember, shields only matter in battlefields. And you, chosen one, were never refined to hide behind walls. You were refined to take territory, to negotiate peace where chaos reigned, to pour oil on wounds and set captives free. Practical wisdom will keep that reservoir flowing. Guard your intake. Devour truth, filter gossip, quench drama, stay hydrated in prayer, stay rooted in gratitude, stay flexible in strategy. The same God who drew impurities out will draw provision in. Connections you never pursued will pursue you. Rooms you never requested will request you. Why? Because refined gold attracts kingdoms, and seeds in full bloom summon harvesters. Some observers will still hunt for the secret map, hoping to replicate your trajectory without enduring your furnace. They'll copy methods, mimic phrases, maybe even adopt your style. Wish them well, bless their journey, yet know, essence can't be photocopied, it's birthed. They too must pass through their own refining if they desire what you carry. Pray they embrace their fire rather than resent yours. Picture a long-distance runner lacing up at sunrise, quiet road ahead, morning chill in the air. Knowing the real victory isn't the medal, but the miles that shape the lungs, legs, and heart. That's you, chosen one. Every step you take is preaching to the pavement that purpose keeps pace with persistence. So keep moving. Horizons are raising their curtains, fresh territory is waving you forward. And if the path dips into shadowed valleys, don't flinch. The same grace that shielded you in the furnace will shepherd you through the field. Valleys may look barren at first glance, but refined wisdom turns dry riverbeds into irrigation lines. When living water flows from lessons you've learned, those low places bloom into vineyards, clusters of favor where only thorns once grew. What some folks label disappointment, you'll rename as a planning table where heaven drafts its next blueprint. Missed opportunities slide across that desk and reappear as divine appointments scheduled perfectly on destiny's calendar. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Pain might still knock on your door, yet it no longer moves in as a squatter. It signs in at reception, leaves its message, and becomes a pulpit that projects your testimony farther than polished sermons ever could. The sighs you release in private carry more power than scripted speeches because they rise from a soul that bled and healed without surrendering joy. Every bruise teaches, every scar testifies, and every night of wrestling becomes a sunrise of revelation for somebody still pacing their own midnight floor. Remember, distance is not deterrent, it's development. Keep your stride steady. A lamppost of favor stands every few miles, lighting your way just when fog tries to thicken. Some hills will feel steep, but each summit widens your line of sight, letting you spy future harvests even before seedlings break the topsoil. And when the wind at your back quiets to a whisper, trust the invisible updraft beneath your wings. Proof that the same hands that molded you in the fire now cradle you in flight. So tighten those laces, square those shoulders, and step onward with a smile the wilderness can't erase. The track may twist, but the finish line is secure. Valleys become vineyards, setbacks become strategy, pain becomes proclamation, because grace never clocks out, and purpose never loses your forwarding address. You might ask, will the trials ever cease? Trials may come in waves, but you now surf them rather than sink beneath them. Heat may rise again, but your gold point has shifted. You tolerate temperature spikes that used to terrify. Storms might darken skies, yet you carry an internal barometer calibrated to hope. What once felt like crucifixion now feels like calibration, adjusting you for greater reach. Let this settle deep. Your essence, refined, resilient, radiant, is not a footnote, it's the headline. When they say your name, they will recall the integrity that fire could not melt, the courage that storms could not drown, the grace that trials could not tarnish. That is legacy. And legacy is built in moments like this, where your spirit recognizes the magnitude of what God has done and steps forward without timidity. So stand tall, chosen one, like that oak breaking soil after a long winter nap. Stretch your branches, lift your leaves. Let your roots hum the song of rivers hidden from shallow eyes. Shade others with your faith, feed others with your fruit, and watch as horizons widen in response. Because the reservoir inside you is inexhaustible, not by human design, but by divine decree. And the one who started the refinement has sworn to finish it, polishing every facet, amplifying every virtue, until the brilliance on the inside matches the assignment on the outside. You are not merely a survivor of the furnace. You are the proof that purpose dances in firelight. You are not simply a seed that endured burial. You are the orchard in bloom. Walk forward in that certainty. Heaven invested heavily in your refinement. Earth is ready to receive the dividends. And yet, even in the ruins they now sit upon, surrounded by the charred remnants of their failed ambitions, there lies the possibility of rebirth. The blueprint for rebuilding is not gone, but it can no longer be drawn with borrowed pens or constructed with counterfeit bricks. It must come from truth, from surrender, from acknowledging that the foundation they once built on was hollow all along. But let's not lie to ourselves. Most won't dare. Most will hammer the same crooked beams into the same splintered walls, patching old holes with new lies, hoping this time their scaffolding won't tremble. They're not building for eternity, they're simply building against your return. They pray you don't double back, not because they've made peace, but because they haven't made change. Their eyes scan the distance, not with reverence, but with dread, watching the edges of the field, the skyline, the gates, anywhere your shadow might reappear. But whether you turn around or walk boldly into larger harvest fields, it no longer matters to the soil beneath your feet. Because something eternal happened here, something irreversible. The ground knows you've passed. The atmosphere has memory. The air itself carries the imprint of your obedience. It cannot be erased. Confidence, once sprayed thick across their worldview like a fresh coat of whitewash, has peeled under the weight of your presence. And no matter how many times they repaint the exterior, the floorboards still creak with the memory of your footsteps. That smile, the one that wasn't about vengeance, but about truth unveiled, still echoes in the corners of rooms they thought were soundproof. They built fortresses, but you brought mirrors. And now, even in your absence, those mirrors remain, reflecting not your wrath, but their reflection. Not your destruction, but their deception. You didn't just shake their systems, you rewrote the laws of gravity within their structure. What used to hold them up now pulls them down. And the deeper truth is this: you don't need to return to finish anything. Because the tremor of your transformation is still unfolding in their timeline. While they patch, while they pray, while they scramble to keep the ceiling from caving, the real question isn't, will you return? It's, will they awaken? Some might. A few may take those broken blueprints and finally build with living stone and spiritual mortar. But many, oh many, will simply hope your silhouette stays on the far side of the hill. They fear your approach, not because of what you carry in your hand, but because of what you carry in your spirit. The torch of truth, the sword of discernment, the flame of calling. That's what haunts them. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. And here's the part that makes heaven rejoice. You're not defined by the fight. You're defined by the fire, that couldn't burn you away. You're not here to be feared. You're here to be followed, as a forerunner, a trailblazer, a compass needle pointing not to yourself, but to the higher one who sent you. So let them stare at the horizon. Let them whisper in conference rooms and gather in corners. Let them relive the moment you stepped in and shattered the illusion. Because the moment has already marked the land. The spiritual tectonic plates have shifted, and your name, yes, your name, is now etched not in stone monuments, but in spiritual DNA. The wind carries it, the light remembers it, and the very ground they walk on murmurs what they dare not say aloud. The chosen one was here. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. So when late-night doubts tap your window, recall the sight of self-proclaimed giants shrinking to knee-height at a single upturned corner of your lips. They're still busy boarding windows against a storm that now lives only in their imagination. And every hammer stroke reminds them who once walked through unannounced and rewrote the weather.